Luke Pollard.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I rise to speak about three things in particular, but first of all I'd like to thank the honourable member for East Worthing and Shoreham for his dogged pursuit of this debate. Like a game of pass the parcel, it has been going round to see when we will have it, and I'm glad that we've had it today, because I think contributions on both sides have helped show the seriousness of this matter, because as my honourable friend for West Ham said, cuts to children's social care have reached crisis point. And I've been asked to speak in this debate on behalf of the councillors on Plymouth City Council who want to raise the seriousness of the crisis around children's social care, because it's an area that hasn't always got the attention that it has deserved. Rightly, adult social care has taken the lion's share of headlines and of funding in recent years, but the crisis in children's social care has been growing, and it has been growing because of a mix of austerity, of poverty, of cuts, and of growing demand. And that is something that is a poisonous situation that has left some of our most vulnerable children in the country in the worst possible state. Now, we've heard already today that analysis from the LGA shows that we need further funding of £3 billion if we're to keep children's services standing still by 2025. We know that there are more looked after children being cared for than ever before, and we know that number is only going to increase. We know that early intervention is so important, but we also know that funding for early intervention programmes are being cut, that the expertise that we have in our social workers and in our charities at the local level is being removed by slow attrition of cuts, of people losing faith and confidence that this system is one that they want to play part of. But we need it. We need the system to work like never before. And in Plymouth, as in many other councils across the country, councillors, to be fair, of all political parties, are putting more and more money into children's social care because there is more and more demand. There is more children in care in Plymouth than ever before, and we know that this is only going to continue to eat up more and more council funding. Plymouth City Council has lost £350 million in revenue support since 2013. Losing 60p in the pound of funding means that the urgent care needs of our children are sometimes being neglected. Now, as already been said by my honourable friend for Bedford, we need to do more to care for those children, the 16 and 17-year-olds in particular, that sometimes frequently get left out of the system, being put in semi-supported situations where they're left to fend for themselves without that wraparound care support that is really needed for them. And many of these young kids are at a crossroads in their lives. If they receive the support that they deserve, then there is a potential for them to lead full and productive lives. But we know that far too many of these young people that have been in care, that have been in looked after children, that are in these semi-supported statuses, will not go on to fulfil their potential because of cuts. We know far too many of them will enter the criminal justice system, and we know that that is something that we can stop if we take our steps seriously in relation to this. I'd like to welcome the extension of responsibility for local councils to for people that have been in care up to the age of 25. That is exactly the right thing to happen, but it can't happen unless the funding goes along with it, because additional responsibilities without additional funding is loading more and more pressure onto an already pressurised system. Madam Deputy Speaker, there's one issue that I want to raise that hasn't been spoken about in this debate so far, and I want to choose my words really carefully about this, and that's around exceptionalism in our children's social care system. Because one of the reasons that Plymouth's social care system has been sunk in recent years in terms of funding is due to the exceptional costs of funding care packages for a very, very small number of children. Now, the reason I want to choose my words carefully here is because it's really important that in how we discuss and debate those issues, that at no stage is any blame attributed to those children who need multi-million-pound care packages. But there has been legal cases that Plymouth City Council have lost about how those care packages are funded. I know the Minister will be aware of this, and I'll be grateful if he could agree to meet with Plymouth City Council to discuss how an aggregate and a huge number of those exceptional cases are basically sinking our budget. Because it's exactly right that those children with the most complex, the most urgent care, get the care they need. Especially when in a region like the South West, many of those complex care facilities are not on our doorstep, and those children need to leave the area, their support networks of their locality. But we can't be defunding the needs of the many for just to fund those of the few. And that is really important because I fear that in a funding situation where there is less but more demand, that difficult choices will be needing to be made. And I have to say to the Minister that in a situation where local councils have lost so much of their funding, these exceptional care packages risk really undermining that quality of care that can be given to every child. And from the Minister's nods, I'm grateful that he will meet to discuss this, and I thank him for it, because I want to say that there are so many good people working so hard in children's social care. They don't get the praise or the thanks that they deserve, and sometimes in this place it's not fashionable to praise local councils. But I want to say thank you to local councils. I want to say thank you to local councillors as well, of all political hues, who are going the extra mile to support their urgent children's social care issues. I want to thank those people that work in care workers, the charities that we've heard about from my friend from Corinne Nantwich, and I want to thank the foster carers, because the foster carers are a fundamental bedrock of this. I know this because my dad and my stepmother have been fostering children since an early age, and since a young boy I've had a constant stream of kids about yay high around the house who have been beaten, abused, starved, neglected, ignored. And we need to create a system where those children are given a chance to fulfil their potential. And that is something that can only come when the funding envelope for those children's social care is adequate for the urgent needs that we have, and when there is sufficient political priority on all aspects of the children's social care debate. I think that there is an urgent need for us to continue this debate to be in the headlines, and I would encourage the honourable member from opposite who has secured this debate to now secure another debate, because we need to keep this in the headlines, we need to keep it on the agenda, because if we don't, it risks slipping off, because adult social care takes the headlines, it takes the need, and as we have an older population more and more and more, that will take up more of the share of the pie, and we need to make sure that these looked after children, some of our most neglected in our entire society, are not ignored by this place in favour of looking at other areas. So, in conclusion, Madam Deputy Speaker, I want to say thank you to all those people that work so hard on this one here. I want to thank our local authorities, our local councils, care workers, charities, individuals, the families that are trying so hard. But we need to do better, and the best way of doing better is funding it properly. Thank you.